Yeah, so if everything goes well, we should be live now. Good day, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're listening from, and welcome to another episode of Everything Outside Code. Today is sort of like a must-have stream, streaming it all the way from some Greek island. Um, no drinks in yet, probably after this stream. But
Mm.
I really wanted to talk to Kenny on this stream. We had Kenny in the previous stream, so it's fantastic to have him on again. Kenny, you want to say what's up to every other person listening?
Yeah, what's up, everyone? How are you all doing? Yeah, this is interesting. Seeing that William is currently on vacation, you know, in one Greek island, sipping some margaritas
Yeah,
and stuff, and still made time to be on the stream with us. That's I'm happy that we're doing this.
yeah. Have to make it work. Keep it consistent.
Hmm.
But as usual, today we're going to be talking about everything outside code, and interestingly, we're going to be talking about Kenny and his book. He recently published a book for software engineers. So we have him on this stream to, tell us why. We're going to be details as to what it takes to publish a book, some of the financials. It could help someone out there that's looking to make a decision if they want to write a book or
Hmm.
not. How do they also go about it? I know it's something a lot of founders and also creators think about, but they don't know, how to go about it. If you have any comments, or if you have any questions and suggestions, you could just leave them in the comments as usual. So Kenny, for those who do not know you, if this is the first time we are seeing you on this stream, could you give
Yeah.
us like a brief intro of yourself and tell us what you do now?
Awesome. My name is Ekene Eze. I'm a developer advocate. I'm currently working in the open source team at Shadium. Shadium is an EVM-based layer one blockchain that is solving the scalability and the blockchain trilemma. We're actually approaching mainnet, and we have incentivized testnet hopefully coming in 1 week or 2 weeks. So I'm helping build out the open source team and get Shadium ready for everyone else out there to contribute. So that is what I'm doing right now, and I'm happy to talk about anything else that you want to know.
Hmm. Blockchain. That's nice. That's
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
I don't know
Uh,
the depths of it, but how does anyone find out like more information on the work you do at Shadium?
yeah, the best place would be to join the Shadium Discord channel. We have a
Hmm.
Discord channel where we, work with developers everywhere. Anything about open source right now and blockchain technologies. That is probably the conversations you will likely find me, being a part of. So join Shadium on Discord. If you're trying to learn how to contribute to layer one chains or how to get into open source in general. That's taking a lot of my focus lately, and that's mostly the things that I will be able to help you or anyone else with right now. So join us on Shadium's Discord. Do you want me to drop a link to that? I I could
So I
probably.
put I put shadium.org on the chat. Is
Mhm.
that it?
Yes, that is it. Um,
Yeah, that's that's great then.
yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So you lead open source there. What
No, no,
does
no.
that mean? What
I am a developer advocate in the open source team. My manager
okay.
is the VP of DevRel. Got
Uh-huh.
promoted recently, actually. So that I'm really happy that we're moving on. We have a lot more people in the team now, which is really exciting. But yeah, I
Cool.
help build the community. I help get developers working in the show, working in open source. I help manage our communities, all our GitHub repositories, content, all the good stuff that you're already familiar with.
Yeah. Huh. That's great then. So I guess on the off days, I know you as a content creator,
Yeah,
and more recently as a published author. So first, congrats about that.
thank you.
Um, I see Noah in the comments saying, been thinking of a book, but yeah, the economics of it, I need to know. So I think it seems like everyone is curious as to the
Mhm.
economics of publishing a book. But first, I guess we'll just dial it back a bit and go with like what's your motivation with writing a book? First, you could tell us about the book. Could you like give us some insights?
Mhm. So probably this answer will touch on all the questions that you have. But yeah, web development on Netlify. That's the title of the book that I recently published with Pact. It's a book that is intended to help anyone learn how to work with Netlify, learn how to build applications for the web, and deploy it the right way and leverage all of the fantastic features that Netlify offers. Netlify is not top of mind at the moment, but they have really cool features that I believe every web developer out there can leverage to, basically optimize their process of launching applications or building applications, testing, debugging, all the good stuff. So that book is basically intended to take you from like 0 to 100. We have chapters that are dedicated to helping you build projects, chapters that are dedicated to like Jamstack technologies. There's a lot of good stuff there. I don't want to give out all the juice, but yeah, if you want, you can take a look at the table of contents and see all the things that I have prepared in that book that should benefit everyone.
Yeah, I think I found the link on Amazon. I'm just going to put it here in case anyone is curious and they want to check it. They want to check it out. So it's web development on Netlify, proven strategies for building, deploying, and hosting modern web applications.
Yeah, that's the one.
I guess the one question, the burning question I have is why now? I know you used to work at Netlify in the past and you built a lot of web applications. So why now? Why write the book now? And also why a book? Because maybe you could have written a series of courses or done like webinars or events. Why book and why now?
Yeah, I have done a ton of events. I have done a ton of webinars. I have a couple of courses as well. So the book particularly, I would say, so this is how it all started. Yeah. While I was working at Netlify, I was creating a lot of content, written content. I was making courses. I was making tutorials on YouTube as well. So around that time, I think back in 2022 was the first time that Pact publishers reached out to me and they're like, hey, you're doing amazing work. We've been looking at your blog posts. We've been looking at all the content you're making about Netlify and web development and all the good stuff. I think they also saw some of the conferences that I had spoken to. They're like, hey, do you want to maybe combine all of this information into a book and we could publish that for you? At the time I had my hands full, of course. So I was like, yeah, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's just because I just didn't have enough time to really work on a book. At the time, I had some ideas of how much time commitment it would take, but yeah, I didn't know as much as I know now what it would take. So I turned it down at the time because I was fully engaged with work. I had my hands full. I didn't think I could, fit anything else into my workload. Then much later on, I think 1 year later, after I had left Netlify, by the way, they reached out to me again. At the time, I was still making a lot of content about web development and how to build apps, how to deploy them, all the optimization things that I used to talk about. And they're like, hey, would now be a good time? You're still making a lot of content. We think it would be fantastic to have it all come together as a book, and we can help you publish and edit and all that. And then I reached out to my mentor. That was at the time I sent her a message. I'm like, hey, do you think this thing is a good idea? You've written some books in the past, the time commitment it takes. Is this like a worthy venture? Is this something that I should do? And then I think this is what would answer some other questions about Noel's question about, the economics of it. And then she told me something like, if you decide to write a book, do it because of the value you want to provide and not for the amount of money you're going to make from it. Because, and she said, because no amount of money you're going to get will be enough for the amount of effort it will require. I guess I heard that, but I didn't quite understand. I didn't quite understand what she meant by the amount of
Yeah.
effort, but I do now. And yeah, I don't think there's like this book can sell 10,000 copies, and I wouldn't still feel like that is enough for the amount of research, the amount of effort, the amount of time, the amount of sleepless nights. A lot of work goes into like putting a book together, especially a book on web development. Um,
Hmm.
this is not like a book on JavaScript where I can talk about classes and functions and operators,
Hmm.
or about Next.js where I can talk about the framework. It's like general
Hmm.
web development, architectures, everything all together in one. So this,
Yeah.
yeah, that is a bit of a background on how we got from
Okay.
content creation to having a book.
Yeah. So it seems like the opportunity came. You felt like, okay, this was right. You had like some time on your hands. You could give it a try. At what point did it feel like, okay, this is something I can complete, right? So when you got an opportunity, you had a chat with your mentor, and she said,
Mm,
yeah, you should give it a try if you want to, provide this value beyond the money.
yeah,
But
yeah.
then, personally, when did you feel like this is okay, this is something I can do? I can write about Netlify completely. Did you have to consider like any skills or any project you needed to put together? Did you need to have an outline before you accepted to to write the book, right? So did you think the curriculum through before you accepted, or how did that process look like?
So, when I decided, okay, I'm going to write this book, I didn't have an outline already. I hadn't thought of writing a book up until that point.
Hmm.
Um, but I had been working with Netlify for 2 years. So there's almost nothing about Netlify that is new to me. I literally done everything a developer could possibly do with Netlify. So I knew I had all the knowledge and all the skills that I needed, or I thought that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not quite true, right? Because when I did start writing the book, I found a lot of gaps in my knowledge and a lot of gaps in the things I thought that I knew. And like I had to go back to the drawing board and figure things out and ask questions. I reached out to my colleagues who are still working at Notify, and I was asking them questions. But yeah, at the time when I decided, okay, I'm going to do this thing, I didn't have an outline prepared. Maybe this is also an opportunity to give credit to Pact, the publishers that work with me on the book. They did a lot of work in helping me with like a format for the outline, what the chapters are supposed to look like, what the content for it, basically how to structure the book in a way that it makes sense to read like in a progressive order. So
Hmm.
when I signed the contract to write the book is when I started thinking, okay, what do I want to be chapter one? What do I want to be chapter two? How do I want the book to
Yeah.
progress?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't have that from the get-go.
Yeah. So you were committed already before you started figuring out like the scope
Yeah.
for the book.
Mhm.
You just knew what the outcome would be.
I knew
Huh.
I had an idea of what the value that I want anyone who's getting the book to get from that book, right? I have
Yeah.
an idea of that. But outside knowing the impact or having a good idea of what the finished product would look like, I had not made any other kind of
Yeah.
effort
Wow.
into it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So not making any effort, what did eventual effort look like? Could you walk us through like what eventual effort looked like? What were some of like the hard stories from actually writing the book?
Yeah, the what I would say is, yeah, just think it very well if you're thinking of writing a book.
Yeah.
If you want to write a book, I guess it would depend on how much effort you'd like to put into the book, or what the end product, how you want the end product to be. But if you want to write a book that has good quality and gives people a lot of value, it takes a ton of work, right? Like that's why I was recently saying I will probably write one more book, and that will probably be it. Like I don't think I have it in me to go through this book. This particular one took over 1 year, almost 2 years, right? And
Wow.
Yeah, and seeing how things change in web development, I had to rewrite chapter 1 and 2 because by the time I was done with chapter 10, a lot of the things I wrote in chapter 1 were already out of date. Actually, some
Yeah,
things I even had in chapter 6 and 7 were almost out of date. They were out of date. So I had to go back every now and then to write them. And I think it took that long and it was that challenging for me because I wanted to get everything
hmm,
right. Right. I wanted to be sure
yeah,
that if you get this book, you literally have everything you need to, be an expert and amplify. And I had a full-time
yeah,
job, so I
yeah,
was only able to work on the book on weekends. And
yeah,
then some weekends I would, I would watch football and maybe go to a party and I wouldn't be able to work on the book. So,
yeah.
life happens. But yeah, I
Definitely.
think I think the effort that we put into it is well worth the result.
The result. Okay. That's cool. And something that you mentioned is how, for the lack of a better non-chat GPT word, fast-paced web development realm. Looking at how quick front-end development evolves,
Yeah.
right? And you decided to write a book that's, web, not maybe not front-end development, but web development in general, looking at how
Yeah.
quickly it evolves.
Yeah.
And you decided to write a book where a couple of the chapters get obsolete after a couple of months.
Yeah.
How do you figure how do you f- or how do you figure the book will last? Right. So if someone picks up the book in 4 years' time, right?
Mhm.
Lefa as a company would have evolved. Web
Yeah.
development as
Mhm.
a discipline would have
Yeah.
evolved, right? How would the book be impactful? Is this something you considered
Yeah.
when writing it? So was it written to last? And how did
Yeah.
you factor that in?
Yeah. So to be honest, I didn't think that far when I was starting. I think this is something that I came to realize along the way. I was like, yo, this. So, for instance, when I was working on serverless functions, I started working on the chapter for serverless functions based on what I knew, and I was putting all the content
Mhm.
down. And then when I ran the code, I used Netlify Dev, and when I deployed, I was seeing a different experience. I was like, okay, maybe things have changed. And then I went to go look at the Netlify docs, and things has indeed changed. So I used the new format. I used the new serverless function. They had even a new serverless function at the time. So I wrote all of that down. By the time I got to the end of the book, that format had changed a little bit. There's a new introduction to how serverless functions are structured. So along the line, basically, I started to realize that these things will not stand the test of time if I write it the way that I've been writing it. So I had to go back to the drawing board. That's a lot of going back to the drawing board on this book to then
Yeah.
make sure that I'm writing in a way. I'm not writing it in a particular, like for all the code examples, I'm not saying, hey, use Next.js 14, for instance, for this, because Next.js 14, there's going to be 15. And,
Yeah,
you know,
it's 14.
yeah. So yeah, it was written to last just because I myself was running into the issue of things going out of date while I was writing the book. And that's also one benefit of working with publishers like Pact or O'Reilly is they are going to keep the book up to date, even when I don't have to do all the work myself. Every year, I think every year or every 6 months, especially for technical books like this one, they're going to do a review, see the things that have changed, and then they're going to have updates for you where, hey, these are the things that have changed. Then you're going to quickly roll out a new version, even though it's a book with like a physical book. You can continue to update the ebook versions and continue to update them online. And people who buy the ebooks or who buy the soft copies are going to continue to get the updated versions.
Yeah. So you just have sort of like a revised edition, but more frequent,
Mhm.
rather than having it like maybe after every 10 years or 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That does make a lot of sense. So, you've talked about your publisher's pact.
Yeah.
So it means you went with like a publishing house, right? Did you ever
Mhm.
consider, because normally when someone, like anyone, writes a book and they want to
Mhm.
publish the book, they think about, should I self-publish or use publishers? I know the publishers came to you with the opportunity, right? But did
Mhm.
you ever consider self-publish or go with publisher?
I've never self-published a book before. I mean, this is my first book, but now that I've published with a publisher, I think if I'm going to like write a book again, I would publish with a publisher again. I will not self-publish. I think probably the advantage of self-publishing is that you get all the money, right, from the sales of your books,
Yeah,
right?
the revenue.
Yeah, the revenue. But then, given the amount of help you get from publishers, I think it's worth the amount of money that they take for to themselves. So I will use publish for a lot of other reasons other than just the revenue, right? For example, like the revised edition things, they're going to do all the research, they do all the marketing for the book, they follow up on all the leads that you provide to make sure that the book is a success. So yeah, I haven't. I think if you want to publish with a publisher, you need to reach out to them and like, hey, I have this book, and work with them back and forth, see if they are willing to publish your book. So maybe that's also something to consider when you're thinking about, do I want to self-publish? Do I want to use a publisher? You want to first think of, will the publisher accept to publish my book, right? Some people don't have that option to use a publisher, so you just have to self-publish your thing. So that could also be a reason why people self-publish. But yeah, I know a couple of people who have self-published. I think they're probably happy with their decision. I'm just talking about myself here. If I'm going to do another book, I will still use a publisher.
Yeah. That's great. Because yeah, definitely a lot of things go into the decision to self-publish or go with a publisher. I know people with an existing audience, an existing engaging audience, they want to self-publish because they know if they publish this book, they could quickly roll it out to 50,000 people to get like 50,000 sales, or even they could go with like a pre-order to get like what interest look like before they even start writing the book. And they know marketing is like very little because they're just writing the book for their audience as well. So for them, it makes sense to self-publish. But if you're going to need a lot of the the marketing, the GTM bits, then probably you want to rely on a publisher.
And then a lot of the help that he provides is not just the marketing and go-to-market strategies. It's the actual like content creation bits. They work hand in hand. I feel like I'm strongly on team use a publisher now, but I'm just speaking from my personal experience. I'm not trying to guide anybody in any direction. But yeah, they help you with the reviews. So my book went through 4 to 5 different stages of reviews, where like I have technical reviews, I have people who are looking at the SEOs, people are looking at a lot of different things, and at the end of the day, like I felt like all of those things just kind of helped improve the quality of the book, and which consequently will provide more value to the people who read the book. So those other part of the content creation bit of it, where they also help you with reviews and architecture structures and stuff like that, are also very beneficial.
Yeah. That's great. So you talk about like reviews. Could you just give us like a summarized version of like the process, right? To the process from putting pen to a contract to publishing. What's sort of like expected process and what happens?
So I don't know if I can remember all of the process. There is a ton of process. The first one is that you sign the contract and you commit to maybe one chapter a month or one chapter, depends on the timeline that you agree. They are very flexible, especially for someone like me that I only had like a day in a week to work on the book, right? Only on Saturdays. So you commit to a certain time frame and a certain consistency, maybe one chapter in a week or in 2 weeks or something, and then you start writing. It goes through draft phases. So once you write, maybe let's say you're done with chapter 1, and then you ping your editor like, hey, this is chapter 1. They move it to a draft stage, and then they keep it there. They start going through doing their review thing. Once they are done with the review, they will send you a new document, like with all the review comments and all the things that they figured out and all the action items for you. Then you while they are doing that, you've probably moved on to the next chapter, right? You're writing the next chapter and they're reviewing the previous one. So that's like the initial review phase. Once they finish that, they turn that back to you. You do your thing again. You update the things that need updating, basically implement all your feedback, and you send it again. And then you go through another review cycle. So once the initial reviewer is done, he moves on to yet another review cycle. That's going to be a different reviewer. I think at that point it's like technical reviews. That person is going to be looking at all the code snippets, all the technical terms that you used. It's going to make sure that all the codes are formatted as they should be. They're going to run all the code snippets, actually make sure that it executes. You don't want to publish a code snippet that is not working. So when you're done with that, probably go through all the chapters. Then there's another set of reviews. I think they call it final, or just another set of 2 other level of reviews that they need to get through. And then when they're done, they're going to get you to go through everything once again, chapter by chapter. And if it all looks good, then, they move it over to publishing.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds intensive. Also, it sounds like an iterative process.
Yeah.
Or we say maybe not an iterative process, but at least it's not the waterfall process where you write, they review, you make changes, and then you hit publish. It's more of like you write chunks, they review, and then it's like approved and set aside, and then you move on to the next one, and you just keep going that way till it's published. That's great. Now I see the benefit of having a publisher over self-publishing, because I would assume if you're self-publishing, you need to take care of reviews as well. And you need to take care of like criticality of the reviews. And if you miss something in the reviews, obviously it comes back to bite you when someone, pick up the book and they just be like, nah, this is trash. This book has like a lot of errors. Someone probably call you out on Twitter.
I'm running all your code snippets. It's not working, bro.
It's not working, and it's in a hardcover, like hardback book. You need to issue them a refund. Like,
and
that's do about that one.
That's also one of the benefits of using the publishers, because they make sure that doesn't happen. I think even at the end, and another thing about reviewing your own work, this happens to all of us. We are content creators. When you even write a blog post, sometimes you miss things that someone else would easily spot. So just having a second eye and a third eye and a fourth person look at the thing and not, basically be on the same page with you, like everything works. That's like super cool. And when they are done, I think they even get an external reviewer who is outside of Pact to, again, look at the thing and make sure that it all works. So I think that's really cool and helpful.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm thinking of like, it's making me want to write a book on something that I know, but I know it's a lot of effort. I'll just commit to one thing that I will not finish again. It's just gonna be one of those things. So I mean, I know Pact, your publisher, they help with your marketing and basically GTM of it, right? Aside what they do, what do you do in that regard? Or did you just like say, okay, they are going to take care of it, peace, I'm going to focus on creating, let them do that part? Or is there something else you're also doing? Are you selling, basically?
So a long time ago, I had like settled with myself that this book is not like a money-making thing for me. For me, it's a labor of love. I did it because I had all of that knowledge and I wanted to put it out because I know it will be helpful to someone, right? So that's why, like, I'm not as markety as people that write book are. Like, I think I probably tweeted the book twice, since the time, probably 2 tweets about the book, and that's it. So I mean, if it does make me money, I really like it. I mean, I want a lot more money than I have, right? But because I'm not seeing the book as like something that I'm doing to really market it and get money from it, I've mostly not done anything with respect to marketing. But I have done a few things that they've asked of me, which is, give us a list of your connections, people who who roll in the same circles as you, that we can talk to and help them see the value of the book so that they can buy and give us reviews and things like that. So I have provided all of that. I'm sure they've pinged you yourself 1 or 2 times.
Yeah. And come after me. Come after me with the book. I'm like,
Exactly.
chill. I'm going to read it. Yeah, I'm going to read it at some point. Relax.
You know, yeah. So
Yeah.
I've done that bit to help with the book, but yeah, I'm honestly not marketing it as much as people that write book market their books. You know, I'd
Yeah.
like to get better at that as well.
Aha. Okay. That's cool. So I guess the next bit, that's the the very important bit, is the economics of publishing a book, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I guess with economics, we look at what's the financial investment and then what you get back. So we can start with financial investment first. Did you have to invest anything financially on your side to getting the book out from start to finish?
Um, I mean, my time, I guess,
I
but
mean,
I
I
did.
mean the start, but I'm looking more for like tangible, direct investment. It's like I wired money or I transferred something, someone.
Yeah, I didn't transfer. I didn't transfer anything.
No
Yeah,
transfer.
I didn't pay anything or pay anyone anything, to be honest. I mostly just sat down and started writing.
You don't do transfer.
No. No. Yeah, actually, I got paid. On the contrary, yeah. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
So
when I
on what comes in, so how does that look? Could you give us like some
um
some numbers if you can share that, obviously, and how that looks like?
there's really no numbers. The only thing I know that when I signed my contract with Pact is after the acceptance of 5 chapters. I don't really remember the exact numbers, but I think I got paid somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 along the line of writing the book. So I think at the completion of 5 chapters, I got paid some amount of money. At the completion of the complete draft, I got paid some amount of money. And I think when the book launched, I got paid some amount of money as well. Um,
So how
yeah,
much in
but
total? Can you give us a
that's why
range
I said around $8,500 to $2,000
for
in
each
total.
in
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 total.
total?
In total,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I think I was getting
Okay.
$500 at every stage of the
Yeah.
completion process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 times or 3 times.
Yeah. Okay,
Uh,
that's cool. So I guess this isn't like a very, this isn't like a, like you said, it's not for the financial gain at you, because I
no,
know you breathe twice, 2K will touch your pocket.
no, it's not. It's
So
not.
it really, it really isn't about the money.
No, no. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, for people who want to like write a book for the money, I think it's still a something to really consider if you want to do it. Because what I just said is basically like I wouldn't call it free money, but it's not really money from the revenue of the book. Like I would still get money from the book
Hmm.
when it sells. This is more like we are just giving you money to support yourself while you're writing the book. So
Hmm.
it's not really uh I wouldn't want to make it look like, okay, you write a book and you get $2,000 and that's it.
Yeah.
That's just it's not part of the revenue from the book. So when the book does sell, I will still get my revenue from the book as well.
What does that revenue share look like? So is this in the form of like royalties for the book, for
Yes,
life on the book?
yes, correct. And also
Uh-huh.
for every sale, I don't remember the percentages now, and I don't want to be wrong, but there's a it's a just like a percentage share, right? So Pact gets a certain percentage, and then I get a certain percentage, and that's like it's going to be like
Yeah.
that forever.
Huh. That's cool. So we need the book to blow up somehow. I like
Yeah,
the I get a percentage forever. I mean, I know that's how books work. So it'd be
yeah.
nice to write some Aspire to Maguire book maybe and then just put it
Or
out there.
Hack Mamba can take up this one and fly with it and get their own percentages.
I can take up like this 95 one.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Make me a deal. I'm all about the deals now. Right now I'm looking for money. See, my white is moving away from white. So yeah, definitely that's something
Mhm.
we could talk about. But it seems like from what you say,
Mhm.
financially, it feels like uh something that's more for the other benefits. I mean, um like the book itself could do well and then you get rewarded for it. And then something
Yeah.
I think about is, did you get support from like the folks at Netlify? Because I know Netlify is a private company, VC
Yeah.
backed. This is publicity for them. I don't know if anyone's written a book on Netlify in the past,
No.
right? So did you like work with them? Did they support you either financially or otherwise? Because I mean, this could be
Mhm.
business as well.
Yeah, I worked with I wouldn't say I worked with them, but like my manager is still there, Phil Hawksworth, who was my manager, well, my second manager while I was at Netlify. So
Hmm.
I would ping him like, hey, I wrote a book. Uh, Pact publishers are going to reach out to you for collaboration. And he's like, yes, I saw it. And, he was ecstatic, by the way, when the book launched. And we still had a Slack channel where we talk. And he was like, Kenny, hey, congratulations on the book and everything. And then
Yeah.
while on the process of writing the book, I would often go to the Netlify forum to get help and support. I was making a lot of research, especially with the serverless functions thing. A lot of things were changing that I needed help with, and they were very supportive in just providing me the right answers and the right resources.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's no like financial support or like I don't know, cool marketing effort. I saw that they would often retweet the book on Twitter and I think also on LinkedIn. But yeah, that's probably the height of the support that I got from Netlify.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
CEO would
that's
always
cool.
CEO would always retweet it as well. I think he was also so happy because I think there's just one book that's been out so far on Netlify or about Netlify, and that is the Jamstack book. I think
Hmm.
Jamstack, yeah, and that book is probably like 4 6 years old now. So this was
Yeah.
also very good for them, I suppose, because there really hasn't been any book about Netlify before this one.
Yeah. Oh, that's I mean that's really cool. It's good to know, you get all the support from the company you write for. And at least others know they can expect,
Yeah.
or at least they can hope for a similar support if they write a book about some software vendor out there.
Mhm.
I'm curious, what are your top three biggest lessons from writing a book as a creator?
Huh. Well, the first one and probably the most important one is it's it's going to take more than you can possibly imagine that it will take in terms of time, effort, commitments, literally whatever you think it will cost you to get the book done, probably triple it. Um
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Another one is I've it's good to be committed, right? I like the fact that I signed a contract that held me accountable to completing that book. If not,
You'd
yo,
have ditched the book, ditched the whole
see,
thing
see,
halfway.
if I would have trashed it a long time ago because, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like, whew, doing anything else like that requires a lot of effort and mental capacity when I'm like I have my hands full with my day job is really challenging for me. So at some point I will just be like, I'm not doing it again, you know. But yeah, having signed that contract and have because I also have like packed people that are checking on me like how is it going, is anything happening, that kind of helped. So it's always good to be committed to to some extent to hold yourself accountable to finishing it. um and then I guess the last one is probably not for everybody, but if you're going to do it for the revenue or the financial aspect of things, you should do it very well. Have plans for how you're going to market it. Otherwise, yeah, I don't think, at least for the people that I know that have written books and that I've talked to, rarely will the book like just give you a lot of money that you feel like, okay, I'm going to write a new one because the first one just gave me a shit ton of money. You know, but there probably are people who have made a ton of money from their books. You know, all these number one bestsellers in what
Yeah.
sold millions of copies. You know, some people probably have made a lot of money from it. But for me, I feel like that's it's not like, probably that's like the 1%, you know, of authors. You know,
Mhm.
so yeah, that is probably my top 3 lessons from it. Is if you're going to do it for, you know, the financial things, you have to really put a lot of thought into how you're going to do that, because books are not like I don't know. You cannot just write one tweet and that's it. You have to have like a
Yeah.
plan, like this week, next week, this, you know, a lot of planning
Yeah.
and effort will go into it for it to be successful, if that is, you know,
Yeah.
what you're going in for.
Yeah. I mean, book authors and book writers, that's a profession, right?
Yeah.
People
Mhm.
build their careers as that. They work with a lot of partners and agencies and, publishers, marketers,
Yeah.
press, all that stuff. So
Press. Yeah.
definitely, if anyone wants to do it right, they need to factor in all these things and
Yeah.
know, yeah, you can't just like write it and the book will sell itself. No, won't work.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah. So I guess last, are we going to, you mentioned another book. I'd seen your deal you just went through. Are we expecting anyone soon? Is this going to be in the future? Or do you know that in your future you have one book left? It could be 30 years from now, it could be
Mhm.
next year. But are we
Yeah,
going to expect anything soon?
I was, so this one was on my mind even before I started the Netlify one. So this is actually the first book that I would have written if I wanted to write the book that the way that I planned it. I had already told Tejas about the book and everything, but I didn't quite get to it. I started the Netlify one first. But yeah, there is still one book in my mind that I am hopefully going to start working on soon. Soon is not this year, Sha. But yeah,
Yeah.
I still have one book at the back of my mind that I'm going to start working on.
Yeah. Ah, that's cool then. I guess we can expect something in the
Yes.
in the coming months.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, and if you use Pack T again, please send me a message first before you inform that person that will come to my DMs. I'm trying to finish me.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I received almost twice whatever message you received on that thing.
yeah. Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Anyways, thank you so much for coming on the stream and talking to us about the book. For anyone listening, if you have any comments, you could put them in now before we call it a wonderful day. But check out the book on web development on Netlify. Now, if you have any reviews as well, you could just leave them to Kenny, or you can ask Kenny, and he put you in touch with the person at PacT that sends everyone an email
Yeah.
to get reviews. I'm sure he or she will appreciate it. Thank you so much, Kenny, for coming on the stream, and let's have a wonderful day. Otherwise, and it's another
Awesome.
episode of Everything Outside Code. Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers, everyone.